Welcome to our podcast. We're childhood friends turned book besties.
Discuss all things bookish. I'm Asia.
And I'm Taylor. And this is TBR Files. Hello, friends. Welcome to our fourth episode of TBR Files. Welcome.
Welcome. We're so happy you're here.
Heck yeah. So today we are going to be doing our buddy read review where we annotated it and we went through it. And you want to start us off with what you're reading first?
Yeah. So I'm currently reading 3 books. Yes. I'm reading 3 books. On audio, I have a listener copy. So a pre-release copy from NetGalley called Domcom by Adriana Anders. It took me way too long to realize that Domcom is a play on words for rom-com, but it's kinky, so it's a dom and a sub. So that's what I'm reading on audio. The book that I'm reading physically, and then I'm going to start a different one because I'm not just going to read this one physically, is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte.
I just thought there was a movie adaptation coming out soon.
Yes, there's a movie adaptation done by director Emerald Fennell and
with Margot Robbie, right?
Margot Robbie and Jacob Elordi. So I'm very excited for that. So I'm reading this in preparation for that. And then one of my favorite publishers is doing a sort of like group read with me type thing on Substack. So it's 831 Stories is doing one for Wuthering Heights this month. So I'm following along with their suggested reading schedule. And then on my Kindle, I'm reading a book by Loretta Rothschild called Finding Grace. And I went into this one completely blind. And I'm not super sure where it's going because I think when I was like putting it in stuff, people were saying that it was like thriller-esque. But the first like 4 chapters like made me cry. So not super sure where it's going, but I'm very excited to see. Yeah.
So going into what I'm reading, Kindle. I bought it on Kindle. I'm The Game Changer.
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna start reading that. I did buy Heated Rivalry because I read that one. I did buy that, and it should be here like next week, and I'm so excited. I'm gonna put it on that shelf because I'm so excited.
Yeah.
And then the physical book that I'm reading is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara.
Yes. I'm so excited. I'm so excited.
I'm only about 10% of the way in, so it's still like going into like what the characters are doing and like all of that. Oh, and that's the first one. That's like the first physical book I'm annotating. Like for our book that we're reading, or that we buddy read, Intermezzo, that one I annotated on Kindle. Where this is like my first time physically annotating. And then the audiobook that I'm listening to is The Little Liar by Mitch Albom.
Let's move in to our buddy read.
I'm so excited.
So for our first ever buddy read, we read Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. I'm sad because I like the British cover of this better than I like
with the dog
American cover. It's the it's like blue and it's a blue square in the center, and the like. So I tried really hard to like see if I could find out how to order that particular copy, and I couldn't figure it out.
Well, you want to hear something really funny?
Yes.
Because I didn't know if I was gonna like it. I just bought it on Kindle first, and I tend to do that with books like I'm not sure that I'm gonna like. And so like I bought it, and I went to start reading it, and I was like, this isn't a whole nother language. I bought the German version. I bought the German freaking version of the book. I didn't even like pay attention. It was just like,
how did you do that?
It was just like Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. And I was like, okay. And I just bought it, and then I went to read it, and I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
That's
So I
so
had to go
funny.
back and buy it again in English. Might as well just
That's so
bought the
funny.
actual book at that point.
No, literally.
Yep.
But yes, I need everyone here, if you have not read this book, to exit immediately. Unless you don't want to read it and just want to hear our perspective on it,
Yeah.
then like stay, I guess. But you're not going to really understand what's going on if you haven't read the book.
Mm-mm.
We're
And
going to
then
be
if you do want to
talking,
read the book, now you have all the spoilers in your head.
yeah. So we're going to be talking about the plot, we're going to talk about characters, we're going to talk about our general thoughts. Um, so if you haven't read it and are planning to read it, exit out of this, go read it, come back when you're finished. We'll still be here.
Because this is a very, very spoiler heavy buddy read.
Yes.
All of our buddy
Yes.
reads going forward, they will be spoiler heavy. So if you don't want
Yeah.
to do that, don't watch the video or go read the book and then come back.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Um, but before we get into sort of the book itself, Tay, this was your first time annotating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is my first
So,
time annotating like a book ever.
yeah. So, do you want to take us through how you did your annotations, or like took notes, or like how you went through and read this book?
Yes. So before annotating, I looked up how to annotate, and there was so many different ways that people annotate books that I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna disregard what of these people have to say, and I'm just
Yeah.
gonna try it my own way. And pretty much how I did it was if there was any quote or anything that a character said that like popped out to me and made me think something about the book. Then I highlighted the quote. And if I really had something to say about that quote, then I would just, because I used my Kindle, there's like a note section when you highlight a quote. So I would just like type in. And I wouldn't like, most of the things that I typed in are just like a couple words, just
Mm-hmm.
what I think. And some of them are like maybe a paragraph of just like what I truly think or like what I think is going to happen. But other than that, that's pretty much at this time my annotating process. It will definitely change, you know, the more I annotate, but that's just how I did it starting off.
Yeah. And that's very close to how I do it and how I've done it for a long time.
Hmm.
Um, when I have physical books, I sticky tab and I highlight. I don't know if
Yep.
those who are watching it can see, but I sticky tab. The colors don't mean anything for me. They just, I know that if I only use one color, I end up running out of sticky tabs, so I
Oh
have
yeah.
to use more than
Oh
one.
yeah.
So I did like the top section of the book was like an orange, the middle section was a yellow, and the bottom was like a
Oh.
brown. Um, but then yeah, so I want to find a better, let me see if I can find a good example of this to show any of the people who are watching. Um, I will highlight quotes. I will write in the margins. I will like point out entire like this, if you're watching you'll see. But it's like an entire paragraph of text that I've just like outlined and then
Yep.
highlighted a couple words and then written in the margins.
Yep.
Um, so that's how I do that. And then I've also started recently um, keeping notes in my phone as well. If it's like
Mm.
a theme, if it's less to do with like a particular word in text and more to do with like a theme, or there's thoughts that are longer than like a couple words,
Yep.
then I'll type it into my phone. It's also how I keep track of characters, because sometimes, especially in the beginning of a book,
Yeah.
if we're introduced to a ton of characters right away, I can get really lost. So I'll keep a list of like who each character, like the names of characters, and then like who they are in relation to the book.
Yep.
Um, so that is how I annotate, which is very similar to how you do yours. And I was just like, I need, like, I want to keep track of quotes and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And it was just the easiest way to do that. And I've gotten more comfortable with it as I've gone on. In general, what were your thoughts on Intermezzo by Sally Rooney?
Um, The first, I'd say until like 40 something percent, I did not like one character in particular. I did, but I didn't. I related to this character,
Just
Peter.
say it. Who?
Peter. Peter.
Peter.
um, I related to quite a few things that he said, but he was so egotistical
Mhm.
and a dick who thought that he was right all the time.
Mhm.
And I saw, like, through Ivan, I saw what that did to Ivan, what, like,
Mhm.
Peter's whatever did to Ivan. And so it made me, like, I still liked the book, clearly. Um, but it made me like it just a little bit less because it was just so hard to relate to some parts of him but not other parts of him. But overall, by the end, I had cried at least 10 times, if not more. I loved this book.
Yeah.
Loved it. What about you?
So Sally Rooney has been one of my like favorite authors for a very long time. I think that her writing is very real. It's
Hmm.
very raw. It's like you get the parts of humanity that are really really hard to describe,
Oh, yeah.
that she just does super beautifully. um I I haven't read one of her books in a couple years. I should make that like especially known that I
Hmm.
think the last one that I read of hers was Beautiful World, Where Are You? And I really liked that. But I maybe read that like 2 years ago, something like that. So it's been a really long time since I've picked up one of her books.
Yeah.
And the way that she writes is very like poetic, but that
Yes.
can make it really hard to digest, especially when you are not used to that sort of writing
Hmm.
coming into it. So it did take me like maybe 2 or 3 chapters to get back into how she writes books,
Yes.
so that I could like follow along with this like story that she was trying to weave. Um,
I definitely it took me about 20% of the way in just cuz I've never read a Sally Rooney book and I've never
mm,
read a book like that. And
mm-hmm,
Irish literature is known for not having quotations. So
yes,
it was very difficult for me to get used to that. But I mean,
mm-hmm,
after 20% in, you're used to it. You're used
yeah,
to it. But it's
and
still
that's like
the
one of
writing
the
is just it's like you're actually in the person's brain. Where
yeah,
I feel like, of course, in most books, you're in a person's brain, but you're literally in this person's brain. Like, their thoughts make sense.
mm-hmm. And I think that that's one of the hardest things when people first pick up a Sally Rooney book is that they're like, I don't like that there's no quotations.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's like, that's fair. And I think that like we need to try harder to like get past that, to like,
Branch out a little
yeah,
bit.
to
Yeah,
like see if it's like, if you can, if you can figure out like how to interpret and understand what she's saying. I think that it's worth pushing through the like discomfort that comes from reading something that's in a format that you're not used to.
absolutely, absolutely.
um but I think that, yeah, I think that, because so it starts out in Peter's head, but
Hmm.
then you'll, as like the chapters go on, you go from Peter to Ivan to Margaret.
And Sylvia. You get one point of view from Sylvia, right? You don't get that
um
many. I think it's only one point of view from Sylvia.
Potentially, I don't remember Sylvia having a POV, but yeah, could be. um but yeah, so you're moving back and forth between these characters,
Hmm.
and all of it, like, you learn very early on that Ivan is a chess like prodigy.
Yep.
Like that is, he is known for his chess abilities, and whatever else. And side note here, have you ever read any Jodi Picoult books? Okay. She has one called Mad Honey that she wrote with an author named Jennifer Finney Boylan.
Okay.
And it I found it like very similar to this in that it was telling the story through honeybees in the
Oh.
same way that this is telling the story through chess.
Okay.
So like you learn a lot about like bees and the creation of honey and like all of this stuff through that book in the
Yep.
same way that you learn a lot about just like the chess world and
Yeah.
how like people who are like the top players of chess like move through this system.
Yep.
Um so I thought that that was super super interesting and I was like, wait,
Mhm.
this is like kind of sick.
Yeah.
Um but yeah, so the book basically starts out with, is the dad dead right away?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like it
Yes.
starts out like
Yes, because
at his funeral.
he goes to Naomi and says that he's been to his dad's funeral.
Yeah, so the book like starts out right, it starts out at the funeral. Yes, because
Yes.
it starts out with Peter being like Ivan's suit is bad.
Yes. Yes.
um and then that was our first introduction to Peter. It's our first introduction to Ivan. But we don't get to see Ivan through the lens that Ivan sees himself. We see Ivan through the lens that Peter sees him, which is a chess prodigy and a child, basically.
A child and antisocial.
Yeah. You like basically get in very quickly that Ivan like is likely on the spectrum,
Mhm.
um, and is awkward and like doesn't know how to talk to people. And Peter is like, this is my kid brother that I will have to like figure out what to do with now that our dad is dead.
Yeah.
Mind you, Ivan is like 22.
Yep. He's an adult.
Yeah.
Sorry, one cat hopped on and the other cat hopped off.
Um, yeah, so Ivan is a fully grown adult. Ivan is like 22, 23.
Yes.
Peter is like 30,
30, 32, 33.
31, 32, 33. He's in his early 30s.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Um, so, and then you also meet Sylvia. Sylvia is Peter's ex-girlfriend from his like youth.
Yeah.
Um, but then there was some sort of accident, which we're never actually
We're never
told
told the accident.
what this accident is or like what the injuries Sylvia sustained afterwards. Which
And this
I
pisses
was
I
like,
think this is the only thing besides Peter being a dick that I found like just tell us what happened. I just want to
yeah,
know what happened. Cuz
yeah,
like
because
what I get from it is so like she's not able to have sex is what I get from it. So
right.
was she raped? Like is that something that happened? Like
But
but
it
she's in
seems like
chronic
Peter
pain.
was there.
Yeah.
So I don't really understand what happened. We're given like context that she was in an accident when they were in their like early 20s.
When they were in
After her
college.
and Peter had been dating for a couple years and she was like
6. Yeah.
very absorbed into this family. Ivan like saw her as like a big sister almost and
Mhm.
like it was like understood that Peter and Sylvia were going to get married
Yes.
basically. Um and yeah, so then we're given this context that she was like in an accident and she has like chronic pain
Mhm.
that flares
Yes.
post this accident that disallows her from like participating in sexual intercourse.
Yeah.
Um but I think it's just penetrative sex that she can't have. Like I
Yeah.
think that like um other sex, like oral sex,
She can.
anything like physic like anything that is not penetrative
Penetrate. Yeah.
is something that she can do. So like I don't really understand what the issue is. And it's not just like her sexual organs that are like bothered by this, because at one point she has a super bad flare up and it's her entire body that's in pain.
Yeah, correct. Like she's on the floor vomiting.
Yeah.
And like can't like won't get up from the floor because she's just in so much pain and vomiting from this pain.
Yeah. So that's really all that we're told about this accident. I don't know. I think it's like kind of left up to interpretation and
Mm-hmm.
left up to your own, like, what do you think happened here? Like, it's kind of like a catch-all for like, if anybody has had any sort of injury, this can be something that they can relate to.
Correct.
Um, but yes, so then we learn very quickly that Peter is depressed as fuck.
You don't say.
Peter is like if I knew Peter, I would have had him put on an involuntary 72-hour hold.
What? No.
like like the guy is like not just depressed but like actively suicide. Like these aren't like passive
Actively
suicide.
suicidal and actively in addiction. Like
Yeah.
hella addiction.
Yes. Yeah, it's like Xanax or something that he's addicted to.
Xanax and just like
Alcohol.
alcohol, and there was like one other thing that like he's addicted to, but I don't think it's actually told like the medication. It's just like he pops these before he goes to bed. And it's
Yep.
like Xanax and whatever this other medication.
Whatever else, yeah. So then we move from Peter into Ivan. And Ivan is going to a chess event.
Yeah, like a exhibition, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where he's going to be playing 10 people at once.
Yes.
So it's this like it's in a small town in Ireland, this like group, this chess club. He's going to be playing 10 of their members simultaneously.
So if you've ever seen Queen's Gambit, I've only watched the first episode.
I haven't.
It's really good. I've only watched the first episode, but it's kind of the same where she's so smart and like so good at chess from learning chess from somebody else that like she can play multiple people at once, where you go to a board, you do whatever you do, and then you go to the next board and you do it, and then you just keep going around.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Ivan is doing.
Yeah, and at this exhibition, he meets this beautiful woman named Margaret.
Yes.
And Margaret is 36.
36, you are correct. Yes.
See, I can do a lot of details. Ages go right over my head. I'm like, I don't care how old you are. What does that matter?
Okay, so Ivan's 22. Peter is 33.
I think he's 32 because I think he's
32.
10 years older than Ivan is.
Yes, 32. Sylvia's the same age, 32, and then Margaret is 36.
And then we meet another character later on, Naomi, and she's 24.
I thought she was the same age as Ivan.
I think Ivan might be 24 and she's 22.
No.
I thought she was younger than she might be 22 or 23. Maybe 21. Because she's either a year older or a year younger than Ivan.
Maybe she's a year older.
Because she's still in university, though.
Yeah.
So I think she's a year younger.
Okay. All I know is that Ivan is 22.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so Ivan meets Margaret. He's like caught up by her beauty. He's like, she's one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen. They start talking. She like seems interested in him, but like there's some weird dynamic here in which she's working.
Correct. And so what she does for work is she works at this art place in this small town. Starts with an L. I'm not going to be able to pronounce it.
Nope.
But she is like the program manager. So any like art people, like if kids come in to do like art classes, she like runs that program. If people, the chess and violin and all of that stuff, she manages that. And if they stay at like a hotel or whatever, then she drives them back and forth from their hotel or their place of accommodation, pretty much.
Yep. So then they end up getting to chatting. He wins all 10
Mhm.
games of his exhibition. He like takes really good care of this like 10-year-old girl who's participating, and Margaret sees that and is like kind of hot.
Yeah, that's
Um and then they go out for like a drink afterwards, him and a couple of the guys from the club and Margaret, and then she drives him home and he invites her into this cottage. And that sort of
and let me tell you, it is so Ivan, I love Ivan. But he is you can tell he is so intellectual that he has trouble communicating. I think
yes.
that's a big thing for people who are like too intellectual for like their own good sometimes, is that they have trouble being social and communicating, and you can definitely see it at like this time, at this part of the
Mhm.
book, when he's trying to communicate to her. He struggles, he makes it awkward, but I just love her. She is, I don't
She
know how
like
to.
finds it endearing
Yes,
that
yes,
he is like socially awkward.
yeah.
Um and also I think that like part of his social
Inept.
is like awkward, yeah, ineptitude comes from being told his entire life that he doesn't know how to socialize.
Correct.
Um
Bye. Bye,
by
the one and
Peter.
only Peter.
Yeah. Um so yes. So then she like finds him like endearing and like cute, and then when he like um starts to advance this relationship in a like sexual
Sexual
way,
way.
she's like, oh wait, like maybe I kind of do like. And I think that the starting thing was for her was that she liked being liked.
Yes. Oh, 1000%. She, I think that because, so her husband, or her ex-husband, but technically they're separated,
They're
they're
separated but not
not
divorced.
divorced.
Yeah.
Um, raging alcoholic. Raging alcoholic.
Yes, abusive alcoholic.
Abusive, but it isn't told whether he's like physical.
Yeah.
I believe that he hurt her, maybe more than emotional. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
he hurt her physically as well. But it's never told.
Yep.
Um, but because, so her mother's not a nice woman. Disliked her mother a lot. Her mother is very she puts her down.
She's like kind of judgmental,
Mhm.
um and has she's like not necessarily afraid to say the first thing on her
That
mind.
comes to her mind.
um and I think that like there was a part of that I was like, I like, this feels very real to me. Like this
Oh,
is like the
yeah,
like a like this isn't a fictional relationship. This is like
a
how
real
some real relationships operate between a mother and daughter.
1000%.
um so I was like, this is like super like, it feels gross because you can like understand how this would happen.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And the same goes for her best friend Anna, or Anna. I said
Yeah,
Anna.
I said Anna.
Um I struggle with her best friend just because I get that her best friend wants to not be on a side between the ex-husband and Margaret, but it seems like she does take the side of the husband, the ex-husband, and I struggled with that because yes, there's always two sides to a story, but when she told Anna, "Hey, like this is what happens and like what's going on," it kind of feels like Anna is like, well, like he has his side of the story too, which isn't incorrect. It's not
Mhm.
incorrect in any way, but it just feels like you're not letting Margaret have her own side.
Right. Well, and I think that like And it was something that I noted later on when Margaret was like, I want to tell somebody about Ivan, but I feel like I'm going to be judged whoever I tell.
Mhm.
Is that Margaret was a deeply lonely person.
Oh, 1000%.
She
Yeah.
had people in her life, but there was nobody close in her life that like she could
Nobody she
talk
felt, like,
to about
connected
things,
to.
and nobody she felt comfortable with.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that like in this sort of like lonely period in her life, I think that like Ivan coming in and being a person that was not judgmental
Mhm.
and that had opinions but knew that her perspective was the one that he was going to take higher than his own opinions,
Yep.
um was eye-opening for her in that like she could realize that like the friendships and relationships that she had had prior were maybe not like she was missing the place of a close friend. um
1000%. Yes.
and I also think that like as a single person who exists around a lot of coupled people, and like a lot of my friends are coupled,
Mhm.
almost all of my friends are coupled at this point, um that sometimes a couple friend or a friend in a couple is looking for a friend in a couple. Like they want couple
Oh,
friends
yes.
more
Yep.
than they want a friend for them individually.
Mhm.
And I think that that's sort of the role that Anna played in this is she was like, I don't know how to be your friend you alone. I know how to be your friend you in a couple.
Yes. Yep.
And not any couple, this particular couple.
That was
Um
such a great explanation of that. Yes. Yes.
yeah, so like yeah, I think that Anna was a very specific type of friend, and I don't necessarily know that she was the friend that Margaret needed in that moment.
Right.
But yeah, so then after this exhibition, Ivan invites Margaret into his cottage.
Mhm.
Things get a little freaky. Um, and then they sort of end it being like,
Well,
well, see you
Ivan.
never.
I love how Ivan is like here's my phone number. Call me if you think about me. And I love
Mm-hmm.
that. I loved that so much cuz it wasn't a you have to call me. It
Yeah,
was just call me if you think about me because I like you.
yeah. Yeah, like if you're not ready for this to be more than a one night stand, then that's fine.
And
But if you do want a person to talk to, I'm here.
yeah. And I truly think that's what Margaret needed the most
Mhm.
was knowing that she did have somebody to talk to, especially
Mhm.
someone who, she canoodled with.
Mhm. Um yes. Okay. So then we go back to Peter.
Yes.
And Peter is struggling deeply with addiction.
Okay, so the thing that I liked about Sally Rooney's writing is how different she wrote Ivan and Peter, and you can tell in their thoughts. So when you start off with Peter, it is, to me, it is like constant thought to other thought, thought to other thought,
Mhm.
thought to other thought. Where Ivan, he's not, it's not thought to other thought. He's more thinking things through. He has more of a sentence structure going on in his head. And I think that a lot of that relates to Peter has an addiction that causes your thoughts to race so
Yep.
bad, and
Yep.
depression. So I came to really like how different she wrote, and
Yeah.
like it truly feels like you're in the mind of the character.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like even within the first like couple sentences, without it being explicitly told, you know whose head you're in.
Oh, yeah, correct.
Like Peter's head is everything that's happening, you know, because
You
he's
know.
like dialoguing
He's like
or
he's like
monologuing. Like
a
yeah.
a brick or a rock or there's a
Yep.
house there, where Ivan is not as much, um, I can't think of the word.
His thoughts don't feel as manic.
Yeah, as like jumbled.
Yeah.
Like he still points things out in his head, but it's not like every particular thing that he thinks about is like pointed out, or not everything he looks at is pointed out to the reader.
Yeah, like I think that it's like one of the first sentences of chapter 3 in Peter's head. Home from work late, Tuesday night, awkward time to call, and never texted beforehand. Almost as if, yes, hoping no one would answer. Like that's like you're like here, 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 here,
Here,
here,
here,
here,
here,
here.
here.
And that's one sentence, and it's like it's not made up of sentence structure that we're like taught
Mm-mm.
of in English class. It's like these are the thoughts that are like immediately in his head, and it's like
Correct.
a constant stream of consciousness that
Yep.
exists in Peter that like doesn't exist in other characters. Um but yes, so then we get some conversation between Peter and Ivan, and then a part that like stuck out to
Because
me. Oh
Peter,
wait.
because Sylvia tells Peter to call Ivan, or like implies that
Yes.
maybe you should check up on your brother because
Mhm.
they're both going through grief of loss of losing their dad.
Mhm. But then after they get off the phone, or like even no, I think they're still on the phone, and Peter has this thought about being trapped in a conversation with Ivan. Like he doesn't
Mm-hmm.
want to talk to Ivan. He feels like when he's talking to him he gets stuck. And I
Yep.
think that that's just like it like pained me that like Peter thinks of Ivan so small. Like he
Yeah,
doesn't
so
see him as a
little.
person. He doesn't see Ivan as a person. He sees Ivan as a character in his own life.
Yes, 1000%. Like that, and that felt so difficult for me. And this is coming from like personal experience because me and my sister are so close. We talk every day. Like we talk about anything and everything.
Mhm.
Where like you just see how different Peter and Ivan's relationships are. And I think it truly comes from Peter treating Ivan less than. And later on
Mhm.
in the book, you realize you you see why he thinks maybe a little bit different of his brother because of the things that he's been through and wasn't taken care of.
Mhm.
I can see maybe like not jealousy, but a slight amount of hatred towards
Like resentment.
resentment towards Ivan for this that I think maybe could be condensed into why he dislikes, doesn't even dislike, but belittles Ivan.
Mhm. Well, and
But
I think that Peter got stuck in it's almost like Peter he aged physically, but he didn't age mentally
mhm.
after Sylvia had her accident.
1000, yeah,
Where
that's
like
exactly what I think.
time stopped for him in that
Yes.
moment, and nobody grew after that. Like his dad didn't grow and change, Ivan
Mhm.
didn't grow and change, like nobody changed in his mind after that, and he couldn't see them as like full people. He saw them
Yeah.
as how they existed in that moment for the
Mhm.
rest of forever basically.
Yep.
um but then we're also in this chapter introduced to Naomi,
Mhm.
and I'm confused by Naomi, I'm not gonna lie. Um, Naomi is a university student who Peter is dating. They have like a non-monogamous
Like
like
I don't even know if
situationship
I
type thing.
at this point, like this far into the book, I don't even know if I'd consider it. I'm so sorry if you hear the wind. It is blizzarding here. I don't think that they're dating. I think it's literally just I think Ivan takes advantage of her.
Peter.
And that's what I meant, sorry. Peter takes advantage of her in a way because he pretty much uses her. In my opinion, he uses Naomi, but Naomi also uses him. So I
Right.
don't know if I'd call it dating. It's just an odd relationship in my opinion.
Yeah, it like, and there were a couple points where I was like, this feels exploitative. And at one
Mhm.
point they talk about it. Like
Yeah,
there's a whole part of this that I like sort of highlighted in that Peter goes, it feels like somebody is being exploited here. Is it her financially, in that she doesn't have the funds to live without Peter, and Peter is offering her funding because basically she's sleeping with him? Um or is she sort of exploiting his emotional state to get funds from him? Like she's
yeah.
using his instability as a way to like exploit the like
As
situation.
much money as she can,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah,
So I don't, their relationship is very weird and it doesn't get better. Like it
no,
doesn't get clearer as
no,
we go through this. We just learn that like it might have started out being like strictly sexual. Um as they sort of grow and evolve through the book, you learn that they actually do have like real feelings for each other.
yeah.
Um
And so this goes back to Peter. Actually, let's finish with Naomi first, because
okay.
I have a few quotes from Peter's point of view that I just want to share. But Naomi first. I like her, but I don't. Um,
Mhm.
because I think, like you said, that she is exploiting somehow, but I also think that Peter is exploiting something from her. So
Yeah.
it's so hard. Um, but I do like how she is very straight to the point.
Mhm.
Where she says things on her, like on her mind, but she's not as harsh about it,
Mhm.
I would say. I don't know. I think that I like her by the end of the book, but pretty much throughout the whole book until the ending, it's hard to know if I like her or I don't.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that's like, there were none of the characters that I was like, you're my favorite character. Like I
Oh,
did not
really?
have a favorite character in this book at all, because I feel like because of how Sally Rooney writes, they all feel so real.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, I can't like, I think I can't judge them against each other.
Okay.
I just go, yeah, these are all like, these feel like real people to me. Like these
Yeah.
feel like, there are some that I like wouldn't be friends with. Like
Yeah.
Peter and I would not
Peter.
get along.
No.
I
Neither.
don't think Naomi and I would get along either.
I don't think we would
Um
either.
I don't think Margaret and I would get along. Like I just like don't,
Really?
I don't know that I would, I don't know that I would get along with really anyone in this book, if I'm being completely honest. Like I feel like I would have a really hard time with all of them. But that said, like I don't go into my friends' brains and know their exact
No.
thoughts at
Correct.
every moment.
Correct.
So
That
like
would be
it,
torture.
yeah. So it could be that like I could be friends with them and just wouldn't know it, because I know too much about what they're thinking, and
Yeah.
because of that I'm like, yuck.
Yeah. See, and I wouldn't say that Ivan's my favorite character. His I liked his thought process.
Mhm.
But Margaret, she was, I don't know about favorite character, but out of all of them, she was my favorite.
Okay.
And I don't
Interesting.
there's so many little things that I liked about her, but I think
Mhm.
more it's like coming of age and realizing that she is worth more than all of these little things combined. Like she's worth more than the judgment that she gets. She
Yep.
finally learns that she deserves love,
Yep.
and that just because of her age, it doesn't matter who. Well, okay, if it's a minor, that's
Yeah,
another.
it does matter if it's
It does
a
matter,
minor.
but just because she is older does not mean that she does not deserve love. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that I really loved about her.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I think that they all have pros about them, and they all are deeply flawed individuals.
Yup. Yup.
Um and I liked sort of the juxtaposition of like how they saw themselves versus how others saw them,
Yes.
and then like
Yes.
how those two things impacted the relationships that they were in.
Correct.
So yeah, but you wanted to talk about Peter and some of his thoughts.
Yes. So I. Okay. So I'm just reading, I think it is 3 quotes.
Okay.
So this does have, I would say, maybe a small trigger warning for like thoughts, because Peter has thoughts of suicide and suicidal ideation and stuff like that. So I would put like maybe a tiny trigger warning if like that's something you can't read right now. But because I have gone through this, I related to it so much. So I'm gonna read 3 quotes. 2 of them are pretty long, so sorry about that.
There you go.
So, Peter says, remembering something embarrassing you did years ago, and abruptly you think, that's it, I'm going to kill myself. Except in his case, the embarrassing thing is his life. Doesn't mean he wants to really, or even if he does, not as if he would do it, just to think, or not even think, but to overhear the words in his own head. Strange relief, like a catch release, I wish. Deepest and most final desires, something bitter in it too. So that.
I have that same,
Do you?
by the way. I do.
Okay. So that is something when you are going through depression or anxiety or suicidal ideation that can happen a lot, is as soon as you do something embarrassing, your mind just goes straight to, I'm just gonna kill myself. And I
Mm-hmm.
mean, sometimes it still happens even when you have recovered from depression. It's just like an automatic thought that you can
Yep.
have. So that I fully related to. The next one was, it was literally the same. This thing is, I think it's the same page or whatever. Couldn't do it to him about his brother. In reality, propriety rather than affection. First your dad and then your brother. No. So I put, there are many ways you talk yourself out of suicidal ideation while constantly thinking about killing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
I have a similar part. I wonder if this is what you're gonna go into as well.
so this one is the one that I literally relate to the most because I have had suicidal ideation in the past. So, to go on living just for
Yep.
Ivan's sake,
I have the
imagine.
exact same part.
Too depressing to think, even waking up in the morning, every hour spent at work, every miserable meal prepped and eaten alone, all for a younger brother he hardly speaks to. Not as if he asked, nor anyone else either. Delusional, perhaps, to think anyone cares whether he does or not. Not their fault, his own failures, mistakes he has made, people he has let down, self disgust, defeat. And I think so I relate to that wholeheartedly because when I was going through suicidal ideation, it is so much like you feel so disgusting, like self disgust and
Mm-hmm.
defeat, where you think about, what it does to other people, but
Mm-hmm.
also you think about yourself, and it is selfish in some ways, um just because sometimes when you do go through suicidal ideation, you don't think of your family, you just think of yourself. Where I feel like Peter is thinking about his family before doing it. But these quotes, like as soon as I read them and saw them, I was like, this is this is Peter. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is just Peter in a nutshell to me. But yeah, those were my quotes.
I think it's funny that I had the exact same
The
ones. I was
exact
like,
same
yep,
ones. Yep.
yep.
Yep. Love that for us.
Well, and I think it like shows like what a common experience, um or like I think it shows that Sally Rooney understands what like a super deep dark depression like actually
Mhm.
looks like.
Correct.
um I think that she was able to describe it in a way that like I hadn't ever been able to describe it.
Mhm.
And I think that like for people who have had suicidal ideations, they feel seen in this, and for
Yes.
people that haven't, they can understand what that feels like.
Yes. And I loved that because a lot of people think, it is suicidal ideation, suicide is selfish. And I disagree with this as somebody who has gone through it. It may be selfish in the way that maybe you don't think about your family, but at the same time, you are in so much hurt that it is hard to think about others. So for people to see, who haven't been through this, but to see that like we as people who have gone through this, we still have self-disgust. Like
Mhm.
we still feel gross about the fact that we are thinking this. And I
Mhm.
love how she wrote that.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that it is eye-opening for both people who have and who haven't
Yep.
to like have a very like succinct way of describing it,
Mm-hmm.
that isn't also super like
Triggering, maybe?
gory. Like
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like I feel like when people consider like suicidal ideation, they're thinking that people are thinking of like a billion different ways that they could end their own life, and like I think that that can be true in
Right.
some ways, but a, there are also like the consideration of like what comes next.
Mm-hmm.
If I do this, what comes next? Like who finds me? What does
Yes.
that do to them? M- For Peter, like my brother just lost his dad, like what will it do to him as a person to
Yeah.
also lose his brother? But am I willing to put myself through the like trials and tribulations of everyday depression and like this like
Correct.
desire and this need? Am I willing to like go through that for a person that like I don't regularly interact with?
And who I it honestly to me seems like Peter has jealousy of Ivan and Ivan has some jealousy of Peter.
Yeah.
Um so yeah, it's so like difficult to not relate to Peter in some way.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I think that that is that like shows what Sally Rooney is capable of doing is right is
Oh
like
yeah.
you have this person who you feel is not a good person,
Mhm.
but then you're also like I see myself in this person.
Yep.
But then you have a person who like was written as like potentially like a more um sympathetic character.
Mhm.
Um and you see parts of yourself in them as well, so you're like, "Well, which is it?" And the reality is it's both.
It's both.
Yeah.
Or it can literally be all four of
All of the
the main
above.
characters.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, so we basically this that entire chapter is just Peter being not good.
Correct.
It's just a it and there's a lot of Peter's chapters are Peter being aggressively suicidal.
Yes.
Um
Yes.
and when he's not talking about his suicidal ideations, he's talking about his addiction. When he's not talking about his addiction, he's talking about his depression.
Yep.
Um, and then when he's not talking about all of that, he's talking about this like, because he has like addiction to drugs, but I feel like he also has like addiction to sex.
Oh, he 1000% has addiction to sex. And I think so going back to like whatever happened with Sylvia, I think that Sylvia after her accident let Peter go. She said,
Yeah.
"We're breaking up." Peter was not the one to want to break up. And you can
Yes.
you can see that because
Yeah.
Sylvia is still in his head the love of his life, and he does
Yes.
not want to let her go. So I think in some way Peter is trying to get over Sylvia,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe not even that he thinks he's trying to get over her, but he's just distracting himself with sex. It
Yeah.
is my way of thinking of it, and
Well,
then it blew into, I'm distracting myself from sex. Now I'm practically addicted to sex. So,
and I think that he has these two women in his life for two purposes. He is still getting a lot of his emotional connection from Sylvia.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And then he's getting most of his physical connection from Naomi.
Hmm.
Um and I feel like he then sees them as almost like an angel and a devil,
Oh,
where
yes.
he's like glorifying and like like making Sylvia this sort of martyr,
Hmm.
while then like disqualifying any sort of emotional connection he has with Naomi, because he feels that his relationship with her is like immoral.
Yeah. Like it literally like he literally like says it, how at some point he is just using Naomi.
Mhm.
And I think that comes from, in further in the book, when Sylvia and him talk about it, is that he has fallen in love with Naomi as
Mhm.
well. But he doesn't want to, because he is also madly in love with Sylvia, to the point,
Mhm.
in my opinion, of an obsession.
Yeah.
I think he has an obsession with Sylvia before the accident, like how she was before the accident, and now I think he feels the need to have to be her caretaker 24/7.
Yeah. He like
Um, yeah.
it he and like something that I thought about frequently in reading this was he has this hero complex.
Oh, you don't say. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
um do I write about it in my notes, or do I don't remember. But he has this um oh shit, that was something I was gonna talk about and I forgot. This like in his head, like he has to be the person that takes care of people.
Yes. So,
He where do
yeah.
I yeah, whatever. I don't know where I put it. Anywho's yeah. He and like it you can see it in all of his relationships, right? So his like relationship with Sylvia, he like has to be the one that makes her feel better.
Hmm.
His relationship with Ivan, he has to be this like caretaker, like father-esque
Father figure.
figure. And then with Naomi, he has to be this like financial
Caretaker.
like caretaker.
Yep.
And when any of these caretaking roles that he has, any of these roles where he has to be the one to like come in and save the day, if any of
Yes.
them don't work the way that he expects them to, he falls into a super deep like self-hatred spiral where
Hmm.
he's like,
But not
I'm
only
worth nothing.
self-hatred, hatred of others, in my opinion, or
Yeah.
hatred of the people who rejected him in some sort of way.
Yeah.
Here's a quote that I think of. So this is Peter talking about whatever. He says, "No, he only wants what he has always wanted, to be right, to be once and for all proven right." So
Mhm.
he has this complex of always, he always thinks he is in the right,
Mhm.
and he is not. He is
Yeah.
not, in fact, always in the right. He, a lot of the times, is always in the wrong, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and there was a part where Ivan is going into this where where Ivan is thinking that Peter likes people he can dominate and feel superior to,
Mm,
and he's not such a great fan of people who talk back to him and disagree. And he has this like insecurity and like hero complex and martyr complex. Like he feels that he has to give up part of himself to care for people,
right.
and that is like masking his own like insecurity about I don't think Peter knows who he is
No.
outside of his relationships with other people.
And his job, I would say.
Yeah.
His the way the like amount of money that he makes from his job and being very financially stable and able to pay for things, I think
Mhm.
is just another way for him to be per se a martyr, because he
Yeah.
thinks that because he has so much money, um he's better maybe
He's
than
also
other
just
people.
like addicted to like to not self, but like to social perception.
Mm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
he's addicted to like curating the ways in which other people see him.
Yes.
Um yeah.
So so moving forward, okay. So now a couple chapters later, after Ivan and Margaret have, you know, they canoodle a little bit, and Margaret is in this state of, should I call him, should I text him, blah 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 blah. And then she finally decides, like, I'm going to text him, and he comes down to visit her, correct?
Mhm.
Yes.
He like takes the bus and she picks him up from the bus station.
Yes. And this happens for many, many weeks.
Mhm.
Um and at this point they are forming a relationship.
Yep.
And it is such a difficult relationship because I think that Ivan, he does not care. He has he cares. He fears judgment in some ways, but I think other ways he is not afraid of judgment. Especially in their relationship, where
Mhm.
Margaret is she wants to be very secretive. She is worried because it is a small town, and anybody who lives in a small town or has lived in a small town, word gets around freaking quick.
Yeah.
And so she is very nervous about anybody figuring it out. And because she is technically not divorced from her husband, I think it makes it even more difficult for her to embrace actually liking Ivan and wanting to move forward a little bit in their relationship, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, and I think that there's two forces at play in their relationship. One is that Ivan puts her on this pedestal.
Mm,
He
mm-hmm.
sees that she does no wrong ever. Like she is this perfect person that he like doesn't view flaws in, and I think that that adds a lot of pressure
Oh yeah.
um to Margaret. And then the
Mm-hmm.
other force at play, I think, is that she has these sort of emotions that play on each other. One of which is she doesn't want to sh- show this relationship in public in the off chance that her separated husband hears about it and that pushes him off the deep end.
Yeah.
And she's also very almost ashamed of this age gap that exists between her and Ivan. And I
Yes.
think that those are confounding factors that are making her go, okay, these are two very negative things
Mm-hmm.
that are in like the cons column for this relationship. Um which means that it should be kept hidden.
Yep.
And he's over here like, this woman is everything that I've ever wanted in a person.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like, and he's like, I want to shout this from the rooftops,
Yes.
but also being like, she doesn't want anyone to know, so I guess nobody will know.
And I
Um,
think he's very understanding on that
yeah.
part. He definitely a few times tries to tries to get her to understand that, like, screw judgment, screw these
Mhm.
people, screw what they think. And of course he does put her on a pedestal, but at the same time it's like, who cares that we have like an age difference? Who cares?
Yep.
If I like you and you like me, why should it matter? And that
Yep.
is something that I wholeheartedly agreed with Ivan about.
Mhm.
But I 1000% saw the conflict that Margaret was having. But because in my personal life, me and my husband have a age gap, so
Mhm.
I can see, the pros and cons of it. But I definitely agreed with Ivan on this.
Yeah, I think that like it their relationship going public would have more of an impact on her life than his, and I think that he understood that,
Yes.
which is why he was like, I'm going at your speed and
Mhm.
at your pace. I just need you to know that I'm all in.
Yep.
um and I think that that was both a relief for her because she was like, there's this person, this wonderful human being who really deeply feels for me and I really deeply feel for, who wants to shout from the rooftops their like love for me.
Hmm.
And also, I can't do that. Like
Right.
that's not something that I feel comfortable with at the moment. So I think she's like battling this sort of back and forth in her head of like, do I keep him knowing that he could meet someone better and who's less damaged and who has less baggage and blah blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah,
And she goes
who's
to that a lot,
yeah.
where I think that you will meet a younger person, maybe who plays chess, and you'll love that person. And I
Yeah.
think that she is finding it very difficult, most likely, I'm guessing, due to her past relationships with her ex-husband and her mother,
Mhm.
where she is having a hard time accepting the love that she deserves.
Mhm. Well, and I
So,
think in the same way that Ivan puts her on a pedestal, she puts him on one. She's
oh,
like,
yes.
you could meet somebody closer to your age, more attractive, smarter, like
Hmm.
whatever else, and he's like, you're the perfect person. So like they see each other almost like flawless, and
Yes.
I think that for him that means that this is the person that I need to be with forever, and for her that means if you love someone, let them go.
Yes. Oh,
Um,
yes, yes.
yeah. So that was like a very conflicting relationship, and I think that I mean, yeah. And when we're jumping all over the place here, but when Ivan eventually like tells Peter about
That's what I was just gonna get to.
this
Yes.
relationship, he's
So
like excited to like tell Peter about this woman that he loves and that he like has spending all this time with and that he feels like really strongly for. And Peter's just the like most judgmental asshole about it.
does not reciprocate his that like in any way. So Sylvia asks Peter to check in on Ivan again and maybe invite him for lunch. Like maybe you two should actually get together.
Mhm.
And I love that cuz Sylvia loves Ivan like a brother as well.
Mhm.
And so I love that she wants Peter to try and keep having a relationship with Ivan, but at the same time, I think due to their like both they all have their own grief, and right now both Peter and Ivan are grieving very differently.
Mhm.
Which I think made this dinner even worse.
Yeah.
So 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 yeah, the dinner didn't go well at
It
all.
was lunch, I
Or
thought.
was it
Maybe it
lunch?
was dinner. No, I
Maybe it
think you're
was
right.
lunch.
It was dinner.
So it was going swell actually. Like they were joking, they were smiling, which hadn't happened in a long time. And then Ivan is so excited to tell anyone, but especially somebody who is it's his brother who he's related to,
Mhm.
and who does look down on him, that hey, I was social and I found somebody that I, in my opinion, love.
Yeah.
And that does not go well. Peter is so hypocritical.
Yeah.
And here's the quote that yeah. So he said, maybe he should be happy that his brother had found someone who seemed to enjoy his company, even if she was 36 and basically still married, living in some hole of a town in Leitrim, half dead for the want of a little excitement, slim pickings, no doubt. Good lord. And you know what I put in my note? Dick behavior, hypocritical ass.
Yeah, I just think that, like, again, it comes to this like belief in Peter that, like, he he needs to set up his brother to have a better future than the one that he's already having. Like,
A better
I just, like,
future, or maybe even just what he considers a normal life.
yeah. Yeah. It Peter's a deeply, deeply, deeply flawed man.
Yeah.
And, like, as a big sister, right? Like, my siblings are very young, like not even close to this
Yes.
age. Like, they're
Yes.
in middle school and elementary school, very
I
young.
can't believe that. Okay,
Yeah.
anyway. Yeah, I know.
But, like, if, like, let's say my youngest sister is, we'll age her up a couple years. She's currently 7. She comes to me at 20 and is like, I met the love of my life.
Yeah.
And he's 34. I
Mm-hmm.
would be like, that's not the love of your life. Like, I love
Correct.
you, girl. That's not the love of your life.
Yeah.
What does a 34-year-old have anything to do talking to a 20-year-old? So, like,
Yes.
I can, like, and, like, even looking at myself, like, in college, I had just gotten out of a relationship. I was like, I'm gonna have a fun summer. And then I ended up getting into, like, this situationship with a man who was 11 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
I was 21. He was like 31, 32. Looking back on that now, as a person who's now 26, I don't have a single thing in common with a 21-year-old. And that's only 5 years, right? Like, add
Yeah.
another 6, like, what? I just go, what do y'all talk about? But I was still actively in college. I was still doing very, like, I didn't know what the world outside of being in school looked like, right? Like,
Yes.
I'd gone straight from high school into college. I was working part-time jobs, but I wasn't, like doing adulting.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't the same for Ivan and Margaret, right? Like,
Correct.
Ivan has had jobs and is, like, actively pursuing a career in, like, not a career, but, like kind of a career
Kind of career.
in chess. And
Yeah.
he's, like, doing all this stuff, and he, like, has his own apartment and, like, whatever else. Like, he is actively, like, being a grown up per
Mm-hmm.
se, in the same way that Margaret is. She's
Correct.
only just already done it before. Like, this is her second round of being in a relationship.
Correct.
So, like, they're coming at that on unequal playing fields, but in terms of just, like, where they are in life, it seems very, like, they seem to be in a very similar spot in
Yes.
their growth as people. So, like, that, in a way, like, it doesn't have the same impact that I felt, like, looking back at the relationship that I had that was, like, a similar-ish age gap. I was,
Right.
like, looking at that, I was like, "Eek,
And
yuck, that was bad."
maybe I would feel a little bit different if I was only in Peter's head and we didn't get Ivan or Margaret's point of view.
Yes.
And Ivan came to him and said, "Hey, I'm with this 36-year-old and I'm 22." Um, maybe it would look different. Maybe I would feel different. I probably would. Um,
Mhm.
but because we saw two different sides, it their relationship I liked. But I do get Peter's point of view. I just find it so difficult that he becomes such a dick in a short amount of time and immediately makes her this makes her out to be this horrible person
Mm-hmm.
when he hasn't even met her yet. He hasn't even he ruins it before Ivan's even able to talk about Margaret. And what they have in common and what he loves about her.
Yep.
And Peter ruins it before he has already made up his mind before Ivan can explain anything about this relationship. And I
Yeah.
think that that bothers me because yes, you find it very maybe upsetting, but
Mm-hmm.
you have to listen to what the other person has to say before you can make a sound like decision,
Right.
in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think that he jumps to this sort of conclusion very quickly and then
Mhm.
falls into like a sort of shame spiral afterwards
Oh yeah.
where he's like right away he goes into this like self-righteous like I know better, he doesn't understand, he's getting himself in a bad situation that I'm going to have to clean up afterwards.
Yeah.
And
A bit again back to the martyr. I have
yep.
to clean it up. I'm gonna be the one to do it.
Yep. And then he sort of like as because after this conversation like Ivan blocks him, he's like I'm not talking to you. And then as he's sort of like spiraling from this like now I'm gonna have to clean this up and this is gonna be a problem and I'm gonna have to solve it for him because he's obviously too young and too like immature to understand what he's doing. And then it goes into like a well shit, like have I just ruined this relationship with my brother?
Yep. And that's when Sylvia comes into play. Or he goes
Mm-hmm.
and he cause okay, so Peter is a lawyer or a barrister.
Mm-hmm.
But he also does he work with Sylvia sometimes? This got me confused.
They're both professors at
Okay. Okay.
the university or college,
Okay.
whatever they call it.
And that's kind of how he's kept up his relationship with Sylvia, like getting staying extremely close in my opinion. I think they would have stayed
Mm-hmm.
close no matter what, but so Sylvia Sylvia asks how it goes and they talk about it. Peter shame shames Ivan in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And Sylvia has three different quotes that I just have to say. So she says, "Is it possible you have an inhibiting effect on his conversation? Because he calls Ivan awkward, antisocial, can't form sentences, blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah." And I was like, yep. My note was, yep.
Yep. 100%.
And then it goes into imagine he wanted to tell you about this relationship because it's important to him, she said. And he wants you to be involved in his life. Again, thank you, Sylvia, I put. And then one last one. Anyway, you can hardly object to him having an older girlfriend, she said. Naomi is 23. I said, thank you, Sylvia.
Yeah.
And that's even more why I found it so hypocritical and I called him an egotistical dick was because he was in a relationship or situationship with Naomi.
Yeah.
So it made even literal like sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because and I think for him it was less of a me and Ivan are in the same situation
Yeah.
and more of a Ivan's digging himself into a really weird spot here, which then makes me think like what does he think about Naomi?
Correct. Correct.
Because yeah, and like I think that like I think that Naomi plays a role in his head. Like he sees her and Ivan very similarly.
Yes. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And yeah. But then they okay, yeah, so he in a later chapter is with Naomi and they I mean obviously are fucking because that's what they do.
Correct.
Um and it's like kind of vulnerable in that she's like I want you to know that I'm grateful for this
Mm-hmm.
relationship. I'm grateful for you. And you can tell that like she's had, because the other thing that we didn't know about Naomi is that for a while she was selling photos of
Mhm.
herself on this website. She was involved in some sort of sex work.
Yep.
Um and so like I think that she has been in relationships with men that have been unhealthy and potentially abusive. Which at one point, I'm jumping all over the place here, but
That's fine.
it'll all make sense at the end.
It's fine.
At one point, where is it? Ah, she, her and Peter are having sex,
Yes.
and she goes, "Just use me. Just do whatever you want. You can hurt me. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter." And I sat with that sat with that sentence or two sentences for like a minute, because I've worked with um young people who've been involved in like sex work in well, a bunch of different categories.
Yeah.
Some they have signed themselves up for, some they've been kind of like pimped out for.
Mhm.
Um and I was questioning, like, is it liberating sexually to offer yourself up so freely? Or is in this moment, is she using her body and her ability to have sex as like a bartering chip for shelter and for safety? Like is it that she's feeling free and liberated to be like, I get my sexual pleasure from somebody using my body as how they need to?
Yeah.
Or is it, I need somewhere to live and food to eat, and I know to get that I need to pleasure you, and to pleasure you I need you to use me as if I were not a real person?
Yes. But she also has, in my opinion, I think that she has feelings for Peter.
Oh,
I don't
100%.
know I don't know per se if they started off as feelings because he was he wasn't a bad person, because she had been in sex work before or whatever, and she has said that she encountered many men who were not as good as Peter.
Mhm.
So I think it possibly starts off as just a love and gratefulness that he isn't a bad person and that he is being kind. And then I think it turns into, I actually love you and not for your money, for you.
Yep. Well, and I think that like there was this sort of this, and this is what chapter was this in? Where she says just use me the first time was in chapter 6. And then later in chapter, also y'all should know this is a 400 and something page book and there's only 17 chapters. So the chapters are long.
Yeah, I know.
um
I know. I struggled with one of them was an hour and 56 minutes long. And I was like,
uh-huh.
okay, sounds good.
But then yeah, so then in chapter 9 she, because so yeah, she goes from like just use me, I get my pleasure from you, like from you using me, hurt me if you need,
Yeah.
um to then in chapter 9 being like, it means a lot to me how decent you're being in my life. To be honest, people don't do things like that for me. In my childhood I didn't grow up in that kind of situation, and with relationships I won't even go into all that, but let's just say it has not worked out that way. And then later she said, but I just want to say I appreciate how decent you've been, and I'm actually grateful, although I probably don't act like it. And then Peter says one of the most like endearing things to me to him, that like this was the moment in which I understood that their relationship was not just sex, that it
Yeah.
was, that there were feelings. um because so she says all that to him, and he says, I don't want you to be grateful, I just want you to be happy.
Yes. Yep.
um and I think that like, yeah, I think that she like wants to feel safe and feel loved and feel understood and like cherished. And
Mhm.
I think that it started as like, I need a way to survive in this
Yep.
world, because like she's actively homeless. Like for most of the book she is squatting.
Yep.
She's living in an abandoned building.
Mhm.
um so she like doesn't she hasn't experienced like the safety of a home and the
Mhm.
like ability to lock a door and know that like she's safe behind those doors. Like there's
Correct.
always this like thought or this feeling of like, I don't know where I am gonna be an hour from now, right?
Yep.
Like I'm here right now, but like at any moment the police could come and we could be kicked out of here. And that's like what happens is they get
Correct.
removed from the building that they're squatting in, and she ends up being like kind of abused by the police, and then um arrested. And like Peter as a barrister is able to get her out of this situation, and she goes to stay with him at his place. But like it just, yeah, I feel like she's a she is what like my old work would describe as like a vulnerable person, a
Yes.
person that's like very easily taken advantage of.
Mhm.
And I think that like Peter was a person to take advantage of her. And like if I was working with Naomi in my old role, like that would be something that we would look at, is like, is this a healthy relationship? Like I know that you feel
Same.
whatever, but like is this, yeah, like is this an exploitative relationship given the vulnerabilities that you have? And like that wouldn't be something that I would talk to with her. It'd be something that I talk to with my supervisor, and then be like, how do I go about
What do
addressing
I
this
do?
with this person? um but yeah, I think that like yeah, I don't know, she's a very like complex character. And I think that for a good chunk of the book, Peter doesn't see her as a person but as a thing.
Mhm.
And then once he starts to view her as a person, then
Change.
he like falls in love with her. He like
Yeah.
falls in love with her, and he falls in love with who he is with her.
But then it's always conflicting. It's always I love Sylvia, but I love Naomi. But I love Naomi, but I love Sylvia.
And Sylvia will always come first to him.
Yes. Yes. And
It doesn't matter how
you
much
will see
he,
that.
yeah, doesn't matter how much he loves Naomi. Sylvia is above everything.
And he thinks, I think that what I see in it is that he thinks that Sylvia has some way given him many not opportunities, many ways that he has interpreted that say I still love you or I want you and only you. Even
Mm-hmm.
though she has told him many times you need to move on.
Yeah.
And so it leaves Peter so confused. And it makes
Yeah.
it difficult for him to be like, well, why can I love two people? How can I love two people? And that
Yes.
is a theme from like 61% of the book and on. Is how can
Yeah.
I love two people at once?
Is it
And
possible to love two people? Is it love if it's with more than one person?
yep,
Is it love if it feels different depending on the person?
yep.
Um yeah. So basically, then we're sort of moving on. We get a lot of Ivan and Margaret.
Mm-hmm.
Um we get a lot of Peter and Sylvia and Peter and Naomi. And then this sort of big thing happens where Sylvia goes through an episode of like aggressive pain.
Yep.
And she doesn't tell Peter about it.
And she
He
doesn't
goes to
even
like,
want Peter to see it, pretty much.
yeah, he like goes to meet her at the college or at the university or wherever. I know that they call college and university like they're separate entities
Mm-hmm.
in England and Ireland and whatever else. Um but so he goes to meet her, she's not there. um he's like, his caretaker mode sort of flips
Kicks
on.
in. Yep.
um And he goes, "Can I do anything for you?" He said it would be helpful if you picked up, or she said it would be helpful if you picked up my prescriptions, but leave them at the door, don't come in. This is her like putting up this barrier of
Boundary.
like, I don't want you to see me. Like, I think that there, he sees her as this woman before the accident, and
Mhm.
she wants him to see her as how she was prior to the accident. She doesn't want him to see her the way that she currently
Yes.
exists.
Which I think
Um,
makes it more difficult for Peter because that's
mhm.
how he sees her. So it's so hard for him to see her as something else, especially because he has put it in his mind that he is her caretaker.
And like it's hard for him to then move past the woman that he loved when she's only showing him the version of herself that he loved.
Yes, correct.
Um so then he he's like, I can like bring you stuff, whatever else. I'll bring it to you, like I don't have to leave it at the door. And she goes, "It's fine, like just leave it outside my door." And he like feels like this like rug has been pulled out from underneath him, where he's like, why won't she let me care for her?
Correct.
um and yeah, and he the control then gets taken from him, right? Like he's not then in control of the situation. He can't
Yeah.
take care of her, he can't control the pain that she's in, or whatever else. um and he goes into this sort of spiral about when he was caretaking for their father before
Mhm.
their father died. Um and then it kind of slips into this, so he goes from a spiral from like not being in control, and like when he's not in control bad things happen.
Mhm.
But then if bad things happen, it's not his fault that they happened, it's other people's fault that he happened, because he did everything in
Yes.
his power to ensure that bad things wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
And then there was this part where he's talking about caretaking for their dad. Um and he goes, what was it all for? The show of erudition, command of detail, not as if it made a difference, insurance against future shame. I was there, I served my hours, punched my time card, don't forget. I did everything that could be done, don't blame me, I was there.
Mhm.
And then he goes, the suffering of another person which he failed to stop. False show of competence only disguising the fact of his uselessness, his failure to do anything, to make anything better, to make any difference at all. So he goes from this like, I did, you can't blame me for anything bad happening. I did what I could.
Mhm.
And then he goes, I did what I could, but I failed. And
Yep.
because I failed, I'm useless and I'm disgusting. And I don't like, my existence doesn't matter
Matter.
at all.
Yeah.
Um, so I just thought that that was like a very,
I think it shows his true emotions.
yeah.
His what happens practically on an everyday basis for him is he works his way up to I'm a martyr, I am a good person, I do things for people, and then he has a one thing where like he thinks he fails, and then it's automatically down to the pit of I'm shame, I failed, self disgust, all of that. So I truly think that he has some type of undiagnosed mental health disorder
Mm-hmm.
besides depression, and I feel like it could be like borderline personality disorder because this is a lot of what happens with borderline personality disorder is that you know they have these really good like they think of these themselves as this high person and one bad thing happens and then it's this spiral of
Mm-hmm.
shame and self-disgust and there's definitely he needs to be evaluated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? But yeah, so then he just spends some time with Naomi. He cleans her up. He makes sure that she
Sylvia.
is, oh yeah, Sylvia. Sorry,
Yep.
I get them so
I
confused.
know.
He spends some time with Sylvia. He gets her cleaned up. And then they end up having this like strange like sexual thing
I didn't like it.
where no, it felt like that felt like he was very much taking advantage of the fact that she was like at a bad place.
Yep.
Where like they're in bed together, he starts like touching her, she goes, you like, I can't have sex. He
Yep.
goes, well, you can't have penetrative sex, but like, can we do other things? And she's like, I don't see why not. She gives him like a hand job, and then they go to bed.
It's like it was so, for me it was so out of the blue.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, it was not like a sincere type of, like, not a type of sex that you would want to have with the person that you love. You practically just kept going, even though she said, I mean, clearly she said, yeah, I guess we could do other stuff, but
Yeah, yeah, it didn't, that was a like, that was weird, and I
Mhm.
felt really
and then
weird reading it.
and then after that, it's, she's in love with me, I'm getting back to, we're getting back together, she thinks that we're getting back together. It was this
Mm-hmm.
automatic, like, excuse me, automatic like snap where it's, yep, just because we did this one thing, she loves me, she wants to get back together.
Yeah, and he like immediately dumps Naomi. But then he does a thing that like a lot of people do when they don't mean something, is he kept her close.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "We're not together. You can't live with me anymore. Go live in my dead dad's house."
Well, and first of all, he's belligerently drunk and
Yeah.
high off medication, off Xanax. And he
Yeah.
goes to the bar after this happened. He's so confused of whether he loves Sylvia or Naomi, and he meets his
Mhm.
friend Mark? No, not Mark. Gary
Yeah.
at the bar. And all of these people start leaving, and Gary stays and talks to him, and he's like, what do I do? Do I
Mhm.
stay with Naomi? Do I go with Sylvia? And Gary's like, mate, that's up to you.
Yeah.
Like I truly can't help you with that. I can give you words of wisdom, but I can't help you. So then he is very drunk, high off medication, and then goes home where Naomi is staying with him. And I mean, she can tell he is just wasted.
Yeah.
And he, I don't think, has thought it through. He has just made this decision because of the one time that him and Sylvia had some sort of whatever they did.
Yep.
And so it's breaking up with Naomi, and she's hella confused because she's
Yeah.
like, well, do you love me? And he's like, well, of course I love you. And she's like, then why are you doing this? But then yeah, he puts her in his dead dad's house.
And he also like is putting voice to his suicidal ideations.
Mm-hmm.
So I like got to where we're at now. And he I don't remember
I'm
if
trying to
he's
find it too.
talking, if he's, I think he's talking here. Yeah. He's talking to Naomi about Sylvia. Um and he goes blah, 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 blah. Even now she's still in pain all the time, every day. I swear to God, we were so happy before. We really were. And I can't even think about it anymore. Even to remember it, I can't. Nothing has made sense to me since then. Not one thing. My life, it's like it's this horrible dream that keeps going on, and I can't wake up. I mean, never. No matter how long I wait, I'll never wake up again. You
Mm-hmm.
actually start thinking, Christ, at least I get to die at the end. Or
Yep.
even wishing it would happen. I'm sorry, I know I'm not supposed to say it, but I do wish that sometimes just that it would be over.
Yep.
And he goes, I'm still in love with her, Naomi. I always have been. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and she asks, "Do you love me?" And he says, "Yes, I love you. Of course I do." And she goes, "If you want to keep seeing Sylvia, you can." And he goes, "That's not real life.
Yep.
That kind of thing, what you're talking about, life doesn't work like that." And then she, in this conversation, because he's going and he's basically breaking up with her.
Yep.
And she goes, "I'm sorry about what's happened to your friend. I can see it's horrific. It's upsetting. I get that you love each other, obviously. I didn't understand before, but I'm literally right here, like at this moment. I'm a real person. This is actually my life. I don't know. Fuck you, to be honest. I want to go to bed." Um, and then, yeah, like in the morning, he tells her to move out, and she does.
Yep.
And like, that's crazy.
I love how she put it though. Like, I'm an actual human being. This is my life.
Yeah.
And because he's so wrapped up in so many things,
Mm-hmm.
he doesn't see a lot of people as human, in my opinion. He
Mm-mm.
sees them, like you said earlier, as characters in his life.
Yep.
And so he treats them horribly. Even though he loves Naomi, he treats her horribly because he thinks he has created this scenario in his head that now that Sylvia and I have done this small thing, we're going to be happily together forever.
Yep.
And so he he just creates a mess, pretty much.
Yes.
A disaster.
So then Naomi goes and moves into the dead dad's house.
At the same time.
Yeah, at the same time, there's this sort of like counterplot in that the dad had a dog that Ivan also helped raise, but Ivan lived in an apartment.
I thought it was Ivan's dog.
It was Ivan's dog, but the dad, like, it's Ivan's dog, Ivan teenager.
Okay. That makes sense.
So, like, the dad
I
got a
never could
dog.
tell if it was Ivan's dog or if it was his dad's dog, but I always thought maybe it was Ivan's dog, but that makes sense.
It was the, like, family dog that Ivan basically took responsibility for until he moved into this, like, he was, like, boarding a room and they couldn't have pets.
Yeah.
So once he moved out of the dad's house, the dog stayed with the dad. And because of that, after the dad died, the dog went to stay with their mom, who's also just like a weird character that was just like thrown in kind of randomly. It wasn't super developed.
She is another reason to me that both Peter and Ivan have such odd relationships with women. Is
Yes.
because his mother left at a young age. They were young.
Mhm. Mhm.
And she married what I see to be as a douchebag with douchebag kids. Is how I perceive them, I think.
I just see them as like regular people. Like
Okay.
I think that we get this sort of vibe that they're douchebag-esque. I don't think they are. I
Okay.
think that Ivan and Peter see them as, I don't understand why she left us and
Yeah.
got a family of like better us.
Yeah.
So I think that there's
Who have
resentment.
stable jobs, and his
Yeah.
mom thinks so highly of Peter, but not Ivan.
Well, but she thinks higher of her stepson than she thinks of
Oh,
Peter.
yeah. Yeah. Darren. She thinks
Yeah.
much higher. Yes.
So
Which,
like they have a
imagine
there's
like the impact that has on Peter and Ivan,
yeah.
especially because Peter was more grown. he could understand this more.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it is said that, you know, they visited the weekends. They
Mm-hmm.
visited Christine, their mother, and Ivan was more closed off, and I think that this was because of what happened with the divorce. I think that this affected him greatly, where he became even more antisocial, and I could be
Mm-hmm.
wrong. um but at that time, it's Peter and Ivan had a better relationship. It is said that many times that Sylvia has made this relationship blossom.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, after the accident, it was not great. They got into fights, blah 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 blah.
Well, but the thing was about their relationship is that Peter was Ivan's caretaker when they stayed with
Correct.
their mom.
Correct.
Peter stood up for Ivan and was the voice of reason with Ivan and their mom. Like he I don't think their relationship changed. I think Ivan's like I think that Peter got stuck on Ivan being that age,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that Ivan got tired of being cared for.
Yes.
He didn't want to be seen as inferior. He wanted to be seen as like a peer. And
Like
I
an
think that
equal
Peter was having a really hard time uh, letting go of seeing Ivan as this like innocent character
child.
that must be cared for.
Correct.
But yeah, so Ivan, so the mom is like, get this fucking dog out of my house. Um, and Ivan goes to get the dog, and then it's like, where
Ion.
the fuck am I gonna go? And so he ends up also back at the dad's house where Naomi is staying, but because he's had Peter's number blocked, he doesn't know that she's there. They end
Right.
up building this kind of strange friendship, which I think is like kind of cute. I'm not gonna lie.
I
Like
think it is too. I
at
think,
first they were not getting
well,
along.
for a specific reason, because Ivan finds out that Peter and her were together for almost a year,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that she's 1 year older than him.
And he goes, oh, so this is
This is okay. Like,
a hypocrite, literally speaking. Like he understands the like hypocrisy that
yes,
exists. Yeah.
yes. So he struggles with that, but then I think he kind of uses it to his advantage
Mm-hmm.
and forms of like a funny relationship with her, and I like the relationship that they have.
Yeah. So then while this is happening, Peter is going to and we're in like the last little bit of the book here.
Yeah.
Peter is going to Sylvia and is like, hey, I love you, we're together now. And she's like, no.
No.
She's like, I'm sorry if that like sexual encounter confused you, but like we're in
No.
the same spot that we've always been. Like,
Yeah.
what about Naomi? Don't you love her? And he was like, yeah, but I love you. I pick you. And she was like, you don't get to use me to get out of being vulnerable with somebody else.
Correct. And I love that. Hold on.
And I love that she called him on his shit for that. I was like, yes, get his ass, bro.
No, maybe not. Maybe not.
Oh, she goes, you've fallen in love with someone and you're afraid. It's
Yes.
the usual thing. You don't like being vulnerable. And I suppose on top of that, she's not a very suitable person. She has no money and she puts these pictures online. Maybe you think people are laughing at you. And then you're looking back on how things were when you and I were together, how easy everything was, and everyone was jealous of us, and you just want that back again, for life to be easy. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and she goes, maybe not consciously, I don't know, but in the back of your mind, you were looking for a way out with Naomi. And then she goes, but whatever it was, I was not trying to help you get out of your relationship. You can't use me like that. I am a human being. So this is the second woman in his life being like, I'm a person. You don't
Me,
see
I'm
me
a
as a
person.
person.
You
Yeah.
can't use me.
Yes. And then he spirals the fuck off. Like he at I was a little nervous that Sally
Mhm.
Rooney was gonna have him kill himself. I
Yes.
was like,
Yes, I
I'm
was as
like,
well. For
yeah,
like 10% after that, I was like, "Please don't. Please don't."
yeah, because
Because after this, he then well, first of all, what happens at Sylvia's house is he grabs like a candle holder and smashes it, and Sylvia's like, "Get the fuck out. Like get
yeah.
out.
How
You're
dare
not
you? She
yeah,
says, get out. Yeah.
you're not welcome here." So he doesn't want to go back to his flat because it reminds him of Naomi and that he'll be lonely there.
Mhm.
So oddly enough, he chooses to go to his mother's house.
Well, before that,
Oh,
he goes and buys like a liter of vodka.
yes, 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 yes.
And he drinks this, takes pills. Um so he is very much under the
Influence.
influence of alcohol and drugs, and he's like shame spiraling like very, very, very aggressively.
And that's when I started
Um
to get really worried that like he was gonna go in front of a train. Like that was
yeah.
my thought when he was at the train station was is he going to walk in front of a train?
Well, yeah, because he when he goes to buy the vodka, he doesn't get carded, and the girl at the counter goes, "If you look over 25, then you don't have to." And um he's he's talking about how like life is painful, but it was happy then. Life is a cruel kind of joke. When you're young, you make the most of it, enjoy every second. And on your 25th birthday, if you want my advice, jump off a fucking bridge.
Yep. And I was
And
like,
then, yeah, then he downs the bottle, he finishes a sheet of pills, he
well,
has
and he
fantasies
then
about his own death.
he mixes the vodka with a lemonade that he got
Yep.
at the store, and then of course in the bathroom he's putting the rest of the vodka with the lemonade so he can bring it on the train.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Yeah.
So then, yeah, he gets on the train and he's like, I don't know what to do from here.
Mhm.
What do I do in this moment? And he's just replaying this image of his fight with Sylvia. Um, and then he's like replaying his father's death. And then he goes to his father's house to go talk to Naomi.
Yep.
And when he gets there, he sees Ivan.
Oh yes, I'm so sorry. I forgot about this whole
Yes.
part. That's why he
Yes.
went to his mother's house. Okay, yes.
So when
This
he gets
happened.
there, he sees Ivan and picks a fight, basically.
Literally.
Um,
Ivan's
he
literally just sitting there reading about chess.
mm-hmm. Um, and he like talks to Ivan and is like, well, if you see Naomi, tell her I was here. Um,
Then he started shit talking his dad.
yes, he starts talking about how his well, he first apologizes for how their conversation about Margaret went.
Yes.
Um, and then Ivan like picks a little bit of a fight and goes, "Well, you think that everything that you say is right?"
Yes. But there is like this tiny little backstory that we do get about after Sylvia's accident. Maybe this
Yes.
was a little bit before, but I have like a quote. Um so okay, there's two actually. So this is I think from yeah, this is from Ivan's point of view about after Peter was after Pedialyte question mark
After Pedialyte.
after Peter lost Sylvia after she broke up with him, he was in a very deep dark depression,
Mhm.
and he would barely come out of his room, and Ivan did not understand it, and the father did ignore it, which
Yeah, because at this point Peter is like
yeah,
26-ish. So Ivan is like 16.
And so he does not understand depression, I think, and so it's hard for him, and especially being a little antisocial. I think that
Mm-hmm.
that doesn't help
And like potentially on the spectrum, like
on the spectrum.
understanding and like empathizing with people's emotions is not always the easiest thing to do.
Yeah. So like here's two quotes that I think like perfectly like describe why Peter sometimes has trouble forgiving both Ivan and the father.
Mm-hmm.
It's something Ivan doesn't want to think about. This is regarding what's happening. Doesn't even feel like he should have to think about, considering Peter's words and the disrespect and wait, hold on. Nope. Wrong one. Sorry, wrong quote. Peter was crying then, openly, with tears running down his face. I'm just really scared, Ivan, he said. I don't know what to do. I don't have anybody to talk to. That's what he said. I'm scared. I don't have anybody to talk to. That's how Ivan remembers it. And instead of acknowledging that he heard these words spoken, Ivan just turned around and silently went back up to bed. He never
So
really.
then,
Oh,
oh, sorry.
sorry. He never really even thought about it again. In fact, he deliberately avoided thinking about it with a sense of embarrassment, and worse than embarrassment, something like shame, resentment, and whenever it came to his head, he had to bat it away again. So I think that then that's him thinking. He thinks back to like what he saw, not what Peter saw, but what he saw, and then he realizes that like, hey, I didn't handle that situation well either. So
Yeah, and then but Peter is like actively bringing this up in this conversation that he's having when
yes.
he's like, "Hey, super drunk, like super under the influence of drugs," um, and Peter goes, "The truth is that I've spent my life trying to protect you both. From the age of what, 12, 15, I was the one who had to be the adult. Who was looking out for me, Ivan, when I was the one who needed help? Where were the two of you? No, you didn't want to talk. You didn't want to know. Neither of you.
Mm-hmm.
You want to know why I treat you like a child because you are a fucking child. When things get difficult, you're gone. You're out of the room. That's all right. I don't expect anything else. Maybe with dad, I did, but I learned my lesson. He didn't want me to be his son. He wanted me to be his protector and yours. So that's what I was. All my life, I was looking out for both of you, and neither of you even had the decency to say thanks. And it was after this that Ivan shoves him.
Yeah.
And then that starts a sort of physical altercation between the two of them,
Very
where
surprising,
Ivan, I
in my
wasn't
opinion.
surprised.
No,
I was not surprised. No. Um, yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. I was not shocked that it built up to this physical
I don't think I was
altercation.
shocked that it built up to this. I was shocked that Peter literally said, I'm gonna kill you, or I could kill you. I think that maybe I understand it a little bit more, like thinking back to it, because he was so heavily intoxicated, not in the right mind. But that
Mm-hmm.
did surprise me a little bit.
Yeah, so yeah, it ends up with Ivan on the floor. Um,
Peter slapped
Peter,
him,
well, yeah,
punched him.
Peter slapped him. They started like wrestling a little bit. He gets on, or Ivan ends up on the floor. It looks like he's gonna kick him.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter is saying, "Who's sorry now, you little worm? I'll fucking kill you."
Yep.
But then when that happens, he sees. I don't think he says it. I think he just thinks that.
He thinks, or no, he does see like what's that done to like Ivan, what he did to Ivan. He sees that Ivan is
He sees that Ivan's terrified, and
terrified.
that's when he like leaves.
Yep.
He like understands that he's taken it a step too, like 16 steps too far,
And doesn't
and
he say
he
sorry like when
leaves.
walking out? Or does he not?
No,
No, okay.
no, he just,
He just walks away.
or no, Peter says, "Look, I'm going. All right, I'll leave you
Okay.
alone. I wouldn't have actually done anything."
Yeah.
And that's when he leaves. Um, and so then he like ends up throwing up on a corner, and then is like, I need to go somewhere.
Yep.
He like it's like he understands intuitively that like he can't be alone or he's going to do
Mm-hmm.
something that he can't undo.
Yeah.
Um so that's when he goes to Christine's, um ends up, I think she like makes him dinner and he goes to bed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
then
he
in the morning,
explains to her what happened.
I think he just says that they fought. He doesn't say that they fought physically. Um that they've just been not getting along because she doesn't
Oh,
end up, like he keeps, and that's why Ivan can end up like forgiving him in the end, is because he keeps their arguments. He will tell her that they fought,
yes,
but he
yes,
doesn't tell her the details.
yes.
Um so then Peter ends up going home the next day
But Ivan goes
to
to
Margaret's.
Margaret. He calls Margaret and says, "Me and my brother just had a fight. Can I come or whatever?" So he spends the night with Margaret.
And she's like, she grounds him.
Yes. But he doesn't,
Um
at first, he does not like the way that she grounds him. She thinks that he is taking Peter's side.
mhm.
Because she does. She sees the two sides. She sees that they're both dealing with grief.
Well, because yeah, at the same time that he's fighting with Peter, Margaret's mother finds out about Ivan and Margaret, and they
Yep.
have a little bit of a squabble as well. Um, so he calls her, they end up meeting. Um,
I think she says, maybe this was earlier in the book, but she said, Ivan and his brother have both lost the same father. Surely the loss is something that could be shared, expressed,
mhm,
consoled, not kept separate and silent. So, like, she
yeah,
sees both sides because they're both dealing with grief.
yes. And she understands the grief of a parent because I think her dad also died, but
Yes,
like
yes.
a, a while
A
back.
while ago, yeah.
Um, so yeah, so then he spends the night with her. They talk about grief and they talk about his relationship with Peter. And then the next chapter is back to Peter, where he wakes up at his mom's house and goes home to find that Sylvia and Naomi were both terrified
Yes.
that this man had killed himself overnight.
Because not, I think Naomi saw a lot more of Peter's depression and his suicidal ideation. He even told her
Mm-hmm.
about it at one point that it would just be easier to die. And so, of
Yep.
course, she is so frightened and she's like, I need to get a hold of Sylvia.
Yeah, and Sylvia had almost instantly regretted that fight that the two
Yes.
of them had had, um as he left, and so she was also concerned. So then he walks in and they've become buddy buddy, which hey,
Oh,
I
yeah.
loved. I was like,
Yes.
I'm obsessed with these
Yes.
two girls'
Yes.
friendship.
Me
I love
too.
this. So then he they chat about the night, they chat about their relationship, they chat about like the future and like the possibility. And then we move to sort of how the book ends, which is Ivan in this like last time period has realized that he was going down in the ranks in the chess world, because he was grieving, and
Mm-hmm.
he didn't realize that that grief would have an impact on like his ability to play until Margaret goes, have you ever thought that like maybe you weren't doing so well because your dad was dying? And he was like, huh, I'd never consider that.
That, but I also think that Margaret motivates him
Mm-hmm.
before she even brought this up, he had begun starting to fall in love with chess more,
Mm-hmm.
and it was almost after every time that they would be together on the weekends, he would be more and more like wanting to learn more about chess or to do
Mm-hmm.
better. And I thought that meant so much to me because it showed that, like, they have such a special relationship and that he needed somebody in his life who was a true motivator. and to
Yeah.
help him get over this grief and fall back in love with something that he has consumed his life. He
Yep.
wanted his life to be about chess.
Yep. So then he has like worked his way back up into like back into the ranks of
Yes.
the chess world, and he's at this competition. They call it something, I don't
It's
know.
in Dublin.
He's yeah, he's at this competition, and it's to like get the next ranking or whatever. Um and Peter hears about it from their mother, and he goes to watch.
Mhm.
But when he gets there, he realizes that if he walks in, there's a potential that he could throw Ivan off of his game. So
Yeah.
he has it like pulled the live stream like pulled up on his phone,
Hmm.
and as he's watching it, Margaret comes up, and they don't know each other, but they recognize the I don't even know how I would put it. They can see each other as people who love Ivan. It's
Yes.
like they're ships in the night that can recognize each other without knowing who the other person actually is. They can like
Hmm.
see and be like, "Oh, this person feels the same way or a similar way that I
A
do
similar
about
way. Yeah.
this person."
Yeah.
Um so they end up chatting, and Peter's like kind of sweet to her. He like
Very.
they chat, and she kind of like informs him about stuff, and he tells her about stuff, and then he tries to leave before Ivan
Hmm.
comes out because Ivan wins.
Yeah.
um and he's like he should celebrate with his people, like, I don't want to bring this down, and she
Yeah.
tells him, just wait here, I'm gonna go ask him if he wants to see
He wants
you.
to see you. And
If
Peter has this like internal dilemma of like, should I stay? Should I
mm-hmm,
go? And it's been like a few minutes now, and he's like, no, maybe I should go. But like he says like, I can't get my feet to move.
yeah,
And
and then yeah,
yeah.
Ivan comes out, and Peter like congratulates him.
Hmm.
um they talk they talk about Ivan and Naomi getting to know each
Yep.
other, and they talk about the like weird relationship now that Peter's like kind of in a throuple.
Yep.
And they both get to apologize to each
Mhm.
other. Ivan gets to thank Peter for the work that Peter did both in their childhood and also taking care of their father.
Yep.
um they both forgive each other, and they talk about their dad, and Peter goes, he would be so proud of you if he were here. That's why I wanted to be here, just to say that, and to say that he loved you and I love you.
Yep.
And Ivan says, I love you too. And Peter goes, you don't have to. I would forgive you if you didn't. And I think that that's just like, ugh, it's
I
so
know. This
sweet.
is where I was bawling, by the way.
Yeah. um and then they plan for Christmas as a weird jumbled family where
Weird,
Ivan's
jumbled
gonna
like
bring his
family.
36-year-old girlfriend, and Peter's gonna bring his two girlfriends, and it's really sweet, and that's how it ends.
Yes. And I truly was not expecting a good ending. I had a fear of a bad ending.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but oh, I just love the ending. I was bawling.
Yes. I'm gonna just pull up my notes to see if there's anything else. Yeah, it was very, very, very sweet. Um, and I think that it showed like the true relationship between people in a family, in a complicated family
Very
dynamic.
complicated family who are grieving the death of a loved one.
Yes. It
Mhm.
like put grief in a way that was understandable, especially to me as a person who hasn't yet had to grieve somebody close to me. I was like, it's it's reassuring to know that you get through it.
Yes.
But yeah. Um,
So what was your overall rating?
I rated it a 4.75.
Okay. Okay.
Um, I really did enjoy it. I liked that there wasn't a super huge, like, I liked that there were characters that I didn't love, but they
Mm-hmm.
all felt real. Um, and it just didn't, like, there was just something that didn't take it to a 5 star for me. I don't know what it
Really?
was, but there was something that I couldn't quite put my finger on, that I was like, no, this isn't a 5 star for me. But I did really have a good time, and I really
Yep.
enjoyed it. But yeah, 4.75 for me. What was yours?
So it was going to be um up until literally up until 61%. That's the mark that I have. It was like a 4.5 or a
Hmm.
4.75. Um but I brought it up because of how much I loved Peter Ivan and Margaret's relationship.
Hmm.
Um it just meant so much to me. I can't really explain why. I just love them together, and um it was my first book of Sally Rooney. So it was like a whole new experience of actually like feeling like you're in the person's mind.
Yep.
And it just felt special to me. And of course the ending was fantastic to me. So I did rate it a 5 stars.
Yeah.
But before 61%, it was like leaning between a 4.5 and a 4.75. So it was my first 5 star of 2025.
I think that the end is, now that I'm thinking about it, I think the end wrapping up so perfectly in a bow was why it wasn't a 5 star for me.
Okay. Yep.
Because it felt super complicated, and the dynamics were super complicated, and everything felt really like unfinished
Mm-hmm.
throughout the entire book, that like it being wrapped up so perfectly didn't feel realistic to me. Like the whole book felt realistic. The like characters being unlikable felt realistic, and like they felt real and they felt raw, and then the ending just felt like, all right, and now it's over. Like
Yep.
it didn't feel like there was like a like my brain was like, okay, yeah, they had Christmas together, and then it was happily ever after. And I like a book where it's like, all right, they like did something, and then there was something else, and there was something else, and like I can keep thinking of like how their lives continue. But for this, it just felt like it was like, oh, and now their lives are ending here.
Right. Well, and the thing is, like, we didn't go to Christmas with them.
No.
So, like, we don't know what happened. And we don't even know if Peter went because he was, at first, most of it, he was like, maybe, maybe. And then he said yes, but that doesn't inherently mean that he went.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't know.
it was a really, really excellent book.
Mm-hmm. I would definitely recommend it. I would say trigger warning for if you can't handle like talks of suicidal ideation or drugs and stuff like that,
Like
or even grief.
addiction.
If you're grieving right now, maybe this is just not the best book for you.
Yeah.
But otherwise I think it was a fantastic book. And yes, it will be, if you've never read a Sally Rooney book, it will be a little confusing to begin with.
Yes.
um
Even
Stick
if you
through.
have.
Stick
Yeah.
with it. Stick with it. The honestly, no quotations, you get used to it so quickly. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, that
yeah.
was our first buddy read.
Woo woo.
Um put in the comments what you want us to read next. We are planning to do buddy reads semi-regularly.
Mhm.
So we'll be able to see sort of what our next one is, but in the meantime, like,
Comment.
subscribe, comment. Yeah. If you've read the book, we'd love to hear your thoughts. Did you
Yes.
have any moments that you disagreed with us? Were there any characters you felt super strongly about? Were there parts of this that you felt that we missed, that we should have talked about? Um,
But be nice. Be nice.
yeah.
This is a safe
um,
place. Be nice.
yeah. But Tay, why don't you tell them where they can find us if they don't already know?
Well, of course, YouTube. But we're also on Instagram, TikTok, and then Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Amazon Music.
And what's all TBR Files Pod, I think.
TBR Files Pod. Yep.
Perfect. Well, thank you. We'll see you in 2 weeks. We hope that you enjoyed this episode.
Welcome to our podcast, where childhood friends turn book besties.
Discuss all things bookish. I'm Asia.
And I'm Taylor, and this is TBR Files.